So we're going to go through some lessons that I've learned now after having a book out in the world for 2 years as a form of celebration. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in this book process that I don't think many authors talk about, or at least I've never heard any authors talking about, because I wish I did. I really wish that there were authors out there that took some time to share the truth of what goes on during a book launch, all the stuff, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Welcome to the Jen Gottlieb Show.
Do not write a book without listening to this podcast or watching this video. Just pause everything that you're doing, because today is the 2-year anniversary or book birthday, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, of my book, Be Seen. If you're listening to this on the day that it comes out or watching this YouTube video on the day it comes out, it's also Halloween, but really, I guess after I've written this book, Halloween no longer exists for me, because October 31st will be forever the day that my book, Be Seen, came into the world. And we're two years of being a published author. There are so many lessons, so many takeaways, so many things I wish I knew 2 years ago. Well, I guess I can't say that because it all happens for a reason. I truly believe that. So every mistake that I made it for a reason. Some of the reasons I've discovered already, and some of the reasons I am probably going to discover at some point in the future. But I've learned so much having a book out there in the world for 2 years. And I wish that somebody made this podcast or this video for me as an author of having a book out for 2 years, for people who were just starting at the position that I was at, just starting to write my book. So this podcast or this YouTube video is for you. If you are thinking about writing a book, you have started writing a book, maybe you have a book proposal floating out in the ethers, trying to get a book deal right now because you think it's a great idea to write a book, or maybe you are like in your book launch right now. Maybe you are right about to launch a book, or maybe it's just on your vision board. One day you want to be a New York Times bestselling author. You haven't even dipped your foot in. You haven't even made the decision. This will be really good insight for you. Again, this is the content that I wish I had. So we're going to go through some lessons that I've learned now after having a book out in the world for 2 years as a form of celebration. Someone asked me this morning, actually not someone, Disney Diva Deb, who's always on my Instagram Live. I'll shout her out right here. I'm sure she's listening to this. Asked me this morning on my Instagram Live. She said, Jen, what are you going to do for the 2-year anniversary for Be Seen on Halloween? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I didn't plan anything, nothing. And I got off of that live and immediately thought, what can I do to celebrate this little book baby's birthday? And the first thing that came to mind was recording this podcast for all of you as just a gift to you all, soon to be authors. Or authors, maybe you wrote one book and you're scared as shit to write book 2, which is where I'm at. I don't know. I'm just going to hold your hand here. I'm going to be really, really vulnerable. I hate when people say that. I'm going to be really vulnerable. That's saying that I'm not vulnerable normally. I would say that I'm typically pretty vulnerable, but I'm going to share stuff that I probably shouldn't share, stuff that I don't want to share because it's kind of cringy to share, or just, again, the word vulnerable comes to mind, vulnerable to share, but I'm going to do it for you guys. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in this book process that I don't think many authors talk about, or at least I've never heard any authors talking about, because I wish I did. I really wish that there were authors out there that took some time to share the truth of what goes on during a book launch, during the writing process, mindset-wise, marketing-wise, business-wise, burnout-wise, all the stuff, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So today we're going to talk about some good stuff, amazing things that I really wish I knew when I went on the journey of writing my book that I didn't realize were going to happen. And then also some stuff that happened that I didn't realize was going to happen that really affected me negatively, or maybe like negatively to force me to learn something. So I guess always in the end, it's positive, because even if it was a negative experience, I learned something, so it ended up being good, or it will end up being good. But you get my drift. You're picking up what I'm putting down. Stuff to look out for when you are writing a book from an author who has now been an author for 2 years. Yay, Be Seen's birthday. Okay, so let's get into it. Number one, the first thing I wrote down when I was doing a brain dump of what would be in this episode is I wrote down, launch burnout is real. This is the first thing that came out of my mouth. And I'm like, what are the biggest lessons that I learned when writing a book? Launch burnout is real. Now, what does that mean for me? I'll take you through what it means for me. It can mean so many things for so many different authors because there are many different ways to launch a book. I went balls to the wall for my book launch. We went all out. I'm sure there was still more that I could have done. I probably didn't do as much as some people do for their book launches, but for me, I energetically, from like a mindset standpoint, like the amount of energy that I put into the launch and the amount of pressure I put on myself for the launch was very, very high. I would say like I probably wasn't all out. I probably didn't go 100%. I don't know if you ever can, but I was up there in the 90s as far as like, what else can I do to get this book out there? There were probably some asks that I was too afraid to make. There was probably some preparation up until the book launch, like maybe the year prior that I didn't have the balls to do that would have put me in a better position to get bigger podcasts. But either way, I'm very proud of myself for the amount of pushing that I did during that launch. But it burnt me out so bad, you guys, that I'm still feeling PTSD from my launch. And it's not like a negative PTSD. It's not like it was the worst thing in the world. If you do a huge launch for your book and you do all the podcasts and you're doing all of the different ways of marketing, like the virtual events and the in-person events, which I didn't do, but I did a bunch of virtual events. Actually, we did do an in-person event. It wasn't for the book, but it was right around the time of the book. If you do all of it and you have your mind set on hitting the lists and it's very focused and you have a bunch of cooks in the kitchen trying to help you do all of those things, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of energy put into this trying to make it and trying to win. It's almost like you're in the Super Bowl of this, you're like in the Super Bowl of the book world. When you have that much stress and pressure on you for that short amount of time, I won't even tell you what's going to happen to you. I absolutely got burnt out without realizing that I was getting burnt out. Meaning during the launch, I felt like I was fine because adrenaline will take over. And it did for me. Meaning all of the nerves, all of the pressure, all of the stress, all of the excitement, all of the stuff that happens during a very monumental time in your life will take over and give you false energy. So it's energy, but I don't think it's real energy because it's adrenaline energy. Meaning it's you're firing at this level that's not realistic to maintain because it comes from adrenaline. It doesn't really come from you. And I was on this adrenaline kick for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then it's like a slow one that's for the months leading up into it. It's slow. And then like 2 or 3 weeks, it's like, wah, wah. And when you come down from it, it is such a crash that you don't want to look at your book anymore. And that's not what I want for you. And the reason that number one is launch burnout is real is because the thing that I wish that I would have done, or the thing that I wish somebody would have told me and I would have listened to, maybe I wouldn't even have listened to them if they told me, was that you need to balance your energy and not do all the things, because really a book launch isn't just about those months or those weeks leading up to your book coming out. A book launch, like a book coming out, is a long game play. And I was looking at it the wrong way. And I was looking at it like, all right, we need to sell this many books to hit these lists. I was not looking at it as this is something that I want to put out into the world that is a little soldier out there in the world working for me as an advertisement all the time. For the rest of time, this book will be doing that for me. So I want to make sure that I balance my energy so that I have enough to promote it all the time, not just for this window of time. It's like you shoot all your shots in this very small period of time, and then you have no more shots to shoot because you're just exhausted. You have laid it out on the field so much that you're like sick of it. You don't want to look at it. You don't want to talk about it. It's like, oh my gosh, I have done so much for this book launch, and then it's like, give me a break. I need a break from my book launch, but that is wrong. I'm looking at it now and telling myself that it was wrong to do that. Because, and I've seen a lot of authors do this. I guess I was just watching many of my friends do these huge launches, and it just looked like they were pushing their book, and then they took a break and they rested. And since mine was October, it was like I pushed, took a break and I rested. But I exhausted myself so much and I pushed so hard and I did not manage my energy properly, so much so that I had a little bit of PTSD about this book and was like, I don't want to talk about it anymore for a while after it came out. It wasn't like I didn't want to talk about it. It was just like, it was so exhausting. And there was so much pick me energy around that launch. Like I'm just being honest with you. So much, we got to win. You got to pick me. You got to like it. Do you like me? Do you like me? Oh my gosh, let me perform for you. Can you pick me? It is a lot of all about you energy when you're launching something like that. And I think that was exhausting for me too, because you're putting yourself in this position to be scrutinized and reviewed, and how many people pick it up and how many people read it and how many people like you. And you're just analyzing yourself for this period of time. And y'all, you might be watching this thinking, Jen, it's not like that for me. You have an issue. Maybe, I don't know, but I've spoken to a lot of authors and many of them feel the same way. So I had book launch burnout afterwards and struggled with it for a very, very, very long time after that launch. And so what I would say to you, if you are going into a book launch or a launch of anything, I would say, think about what it is, the thing that you're launching, think about how long it's going to be out in the world and manage your energy with that in mind. So if I really thought about, okay, this book, now that I'm 2 years out, I understand, but I couldn't see it when I didn't have it out there in the world. Now I understand. It is out there on shelves, in people's bedrooms, on vacations with people, in their living rooms, on their coffee tables. It's everywhere, out there forever and ever and ever and ever. And it's my job to keep reminding people that it's out there for them and to keep giving them an opportunity to open it up and have the experience with my book forever. It's not just 1 week thing. And I put my energy into it so much that it could only be a 1 week thing. And next time when I launch another book, it will definitely be with the mindset of this is a constant adventure. And I'm going to manage my energy as such. The launch is just the day that it comes out for people to buy it. But I am promoting this book every damn day of my life. And I have so much energy for it because I'm not blowing my load in the first month so hard and so much so that I'm totally burnt out and I just done. I'm like booked out. And my friend Dan Martell really played a big part in shifting this for me when he came onto my podcast with his book, Buy Back Your Time. And we were podcasting about his book, but his book had already been out for about a year when he came on my podcast. And he came with his book and we put it center stage and we were talking about it. And I was like, you're not in the launch anymore, are you? Why are you doing podcasts? He's like, I'm going to be promoting this book forever. This is a long game play for me. And I'm like, you are so right. This was the lesson that I needed to learn. So that's the first thing that I will say.
You're listening to The Jen Gottlieb Show.
Number 2 that I wrote down, just it kind of goes with number 1. The book being out, like the launch of the book into the world, here is my book. That's just the beginning. It's not the end. It's a long game push, not a sprint. So I basically was just doubling down on number 1 when I wrote down number 2. I didn't know this, and I learned it now. Now that I'm getting, it's so fun to get, I get DMs in my inbox like every day from people who have picked up the book who didn't know who I was. They randomly got the book, they started reading the book, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love your book so much. It did this for me, or it changed this for me. And to see that, it's like a reminder to me that even 2 years out, people are seeing it for the first time. So essentially, my book is launching itself to individual people on its own forever and always. Okay, here's a positive. So one of the lessons I learned is being an author always feels good to say. It never gets old. And I loved that I wrote that down when I was brainstorming what to write for you guys, because every time I go live on social media, which is every day, pretty much Monday through Friday, I always hold up my book and I say, I'm Jen Gottlieb and I'm the author of Be Seen. And it makes me feel very proud. And I didn't know how powerful that would feel, because I can always say forever that I am an author. Writing a book is definitely a challenging thing to do, which is why a lot of people don't do it. It's why it is a hallmark or a credibility marker of someone that is quote unquote successful, that they wrote a book, because it's freaking hard. So when you get to say you're an author and you do have that credibility marker, it does feel good every time you say it. It's always something, you can always say that. You can always say, I am an author. And for me, I get to always say that I'm a best-selling author, and it never gets old. So if I'm shifting careers and one day I'm no longer coaching, speaking, I'm no longer teaching branding, I'm no longer hosting masterminds and events and doing the things that I do, I still can always say, oh, I am a best-selling author, which is very cool. So if you're thinking about writing a book, the credibility of being able to say that you're a best-selling author is major. And it holds a lot of weight for people. It's really cool when someone's like random people, oh, you write a book? That's so cool. That is still something, even in this digital world that we live in, that people lean into and get excited about, and I feel very proud of. And I did not know how cool that was going to feel still 2 years out. Oh, this is something that I've a lot of feedback. This is real feedback. So 2 years out, when I have conversations with people about my book, one of the most common things that people say to me, which is weird and I never expected it to be, was, I'm so grateful you read the Audible. People will come to me and they're like, thank you for reading the Audible. Some authors don't read their own book, and I love that it's your voice. Well, I'm like, thank God, because recording that Audible was one of the hardest things that I've ever done, ever. And I didn't think it was going to be hard. That was the thing that I was most excited about, you guys. I couldn't wait to read my audiobook because I'm an actor, and I was so excited to get in that booth and read it. I thought it was going to be like all of my training put together in a little bubble inside that little booth, and it would be magnificent and magical. Well, when you go to read your Audible book and you go to record it, you should, because that's the feedback that I've been getting from the readers. They love it. They feel more connected to me. They loved the Audible, and my Audible did much better than my hardcover. When you go to do it, please know that it is not easy. It is very hard it's weird. I thought I could read, but suddenly you get into this booth and you have to read out loud, and I've messed up like every other sentence, and I got it's exhausting. Your voice gets tired, you get tired reading and looking at words, and then something really crazy happens that I didn't think would happen. You read your audiobook about a year after you wrote it. That's just how it works. Like it is about a year after the book has been written that you go and you read it out loud in a booth and record the audio. And there were some parts of my book that I wanted to change. And you can't change it once it's there and you're reading it in the audiobook. There's no changing it. There's no going back, because you evolve as a person over a year, and your content evolves and your stories evolve. And there is definitely 100%, no matter who you are, what you talk about, there's going to be something that maybe you would say differently a year later. Like there were things that I'm like, oh man, there's another part of that story that I talk about now that's really important, or there's another piece that I figured out about this and I'd really like to share it, and it's not in the book. And when I got out of the booth and I was done recording, I actually called one of my friends and I was like, is this normal? I want to change a lot of parts of my book. And they're like, of course. It means that you're evolving as a creator. It means that you're constantly learning and growing. And that's totally normal. Most authors feel that way, but your book, and I read this in the book, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, fantastic book. Your piece of art is a moment in time, and it was a moment in time that will never be again. So it's like that moment, that the person that you were when you wrote that book is for that moment in time, and you will evolve and grow. And then you evolve and grow. And then you do another piece of work that's another moment in time in your life. And I had to come to terms with that it's not going to be like, I can't change my book every time I think of something better to say. That's when new content comes out. So reading the audiobook was hard, but people will appreciate it. You should read your own audiobook. And it's a really, really, really great experience to sit in the discomfort for a very long period of time. Y'all know I like to make things hard for myself to prove to myself that I can sit in the discomfort, because that creates more confidence. I was uncomfortable during that, let's just say. But I'm glad people appreciate it. So that feels good. All right. You will get bad reviews. If you don't, it means no one's paying attention. This was something that I had to come to terms with. I am a people pleaser. I want everybody to like me. I am not very comfortable with people not liking me. That is something that I have to learn to get better at. I'm just sharing with you all of my issues. But if you're in the public eye and you're being seen, there are going to be people that don't like it. There better be. If everybody likes it, it means not enough people are seeing it. If everybody agrees with you, it really means that you have no original ideas, because not everybody agrees with original ideas. That's why they're original. There's going to be people that don't like you, that don't like your book. And if you have only positive reviews, not enough people read it. But I just wasn't prepared to read negative reviews about myself. And there was this one that was really painful. It was really painful. And I read it and it really got to me. It got to me for a while. And I had to do something, and this might be helpful for you if you wrote a book, or if you're about to write a book and you're scared of the negative reviews. You got to write a book with enough originality that people will not like it and will get negative reviews. Same with content. We can't play too safe with content and make all vanilla content. If everybody likes all of your content, then not enough people are seeing it. And it's not making a difference, because stuff that makes a difference is stuff that rocks the boat a little bit. It doesn't have to be totally controversial, but stuff that picks a side, essentially. A side meaning an idea, a truth, something you believe in. And I don't know, there was a review. One woman really did not like my book. And I was going down the rabbit hole of feeling like shit about myself and terrified that people would read that and then not take me seriously or whatever, things that people do when I spiraled. And I did this exercise that made me feel a little bit better. I went and I looked up all of my favorite books, like the best-selling books of all time, big time books, massive books that I was obsessed with, that I know everyone that I know was obsessed with and have been obsessed with for a very long time. And I went and I looked at all of the 1-star reviews and all the negative reviews of those books. And I'm like, oh my God, the top books in the world have like hundreds of 0 or 1-star reviews, of terrible reviews, of people hating them, slamming them. And I'm like, all right. Kind of felt like my rejection album that I have in my phone. If you don't know what my rejection album is, I screenshot all of the times I get rejected from stages or from podcasts, and I save them in an album to just make light of it, because it's a courage collection. Every single time that I've gotten rejected means I had the courage to put myself out there, which is a win for me. So me looking at all of the best-selling books in the world and seeing all the 1-star reviews and all the negative reviews about those books, it just proved to me that, oh, I'm right up there with them. In fact, I don't even have as many as they do. I should have more. And it made me feel a lot better. And now I'm totally okay with it. You know what? I will take that back. I am not totally okay with negative reviews. I am much better than I was. And I can read that thing and I could take it in. I can giggle and just, I'm not for you. I'm not for you. I'm so sorry you hated it. I am not for you. But that is something that is going to happen if you put out a book into the world and enough people read it. People are not going to like it.
Get outside of your comfort zone and into your best life, one small step at a time.
And then the last thing that I wrote down for my review about the lessons that I learned is that book 2 will feel even harder. And I've spoken to many authors about this as well. Book 2 feels harder. Project 2 feels harder after a win. Like teams that win big, like Olympic Games, the second Olympics that you go to, always feels harder because you have the pressure of living up to book number 1. So and also the second idea that you come up with after book number 1 is like, it feels like a lot more pressure around it. And listen, this is privilege. I have a privilege of having this pressure. Privilege. So I am not complaining about this. This is a amazing privilege that I get to have pressure about what I'm going to write about next. But I will tell you that it took me a year to actually hit send on one of my proposals. And then I had to write another proposal because I didn't like the first proposal, like a completely different concept. So I now have 2 book number 2 proposals out into the world. And I still don't know what I'm going to go with. It just feels hard. It feels stressful. It feels scary. And I will move through it. And I'm saying it to you guys on this podcast as accountability. There will be a second book for you. And I'm very excited about it because I'm going to take all of these lessons that I learned from book 1 and I'm going to put them into book 2. And I'm going to not get myself burnt out. I am going to remind myself that this book is a long game thing, that people are going to be taking it on vacation with them. People are going to have it on their coffee table forever. People are going to be going to bed with it. And it's going to be out there in the world, just giving people hugs and lighting people up all the time, not just for that first week. And I'm going to remember, what else did I write down? That my audio recording is going to be very challenging, but people are going to greatly appreciate it. I'm going to remember that saying I'm a published author always feels good. So saying that I wrote 2 books is going to feel amazing. I'm going to remember all of these things as soon as book number 2 starts to happen. But it feels scarier. It feels harder. It feels like more pressure. But just doing this podcast and this video is already somehow making me feel a lot better about the situation, because really at the end of the day, like, and this is what I would say to myself when I wrote Be Seen. I said, I knew this, but it's like, you can know something and then the world starts to affect how you react. Your environment starts to affect how you react, whether you realize it or not. And it was up to me to catch myself, and I didn't really catch myself. So I kept saying to myself, all I want is for this book to get out into the world and have wings and go and help people. And that's what I want. But it's very easy to get wrapped up in other people's ideas of winning and the stress of making lists and selling a certain amount of books and making the publisher happy. And I absolutely got caught up in that. And I think a lot of first-time authors do. The last thing that I will say is that I forgot to mention is that I have brought some life back into this book over the past couple of months, and I'm really proud of myself for doing it. So I think that my book burnout has come to an end because I started doing book meetups all over the country. All over the country, meaning I've done 2 cities, and I'm going to do a third. And by the time you're listening to this or watching this, it's going to be a month. So in November, I'm going to be doing Las Vegas. But I made the brave decision to start going to different cities and doing meetups around the book just to gather people to network with one another. And I speak and sign books and take pictures, but most importantly, provide a really cool space for people to be seen and meet up and network with each other. And it's been fantastic. And they've been very low-key mini book events. We did it in Arizona, about 100 people came, and we did it in Miami, and about 75 people came. And it's not really like to sell books or anything. Like, I basically give them away for free. You either bring a book or you get one. I don't give them away for free. What am I saying? You have to come with a book as your ticket, or you can sign up for the event with $20 and I'll give you a book when you get there. But it's not like a paid event. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's just to gather people and to have fun. And it's not to sell books. That's not the reason. The reason is to talk about the concept of being seen and to talk about what's inside of this book and to inspire and motivate the people that come to be seen out in the world and to start living their damn dream and like building the life that they love. And I feel like it was absolutely doing that the past 2 events, and I loved it. And that was a small way that I started to come back out of hiding from my PTSD of launching this book and started talking about it again. And it felt so ridiculously amazing because it was about the message in the book and not about the selling of the book or the numbers of the book or and none of that. It was just about what's inside of it. And it was about the message and it was about the people. And if you are listening to this and you are in Las Vegas, Nevada, we are doing a book meetup in Las Vegas in November. Just DM me for specific dates, or you know what, when I will actually put in the show notes the date of the Las Vegas book meetup, and I would love to see you there. It's going to be absolutely epic. So, my friends, this was just a fun, casual conversation about what it feels like to be 2 years out from writing my first book, launching my first book. And the overall feeling, of course, is gratitude. I'm so grateful I did it. If you are considering writing a book, it will be one of the most memorable journeys of your life. It will also be one of the biggest moments of growth in your life. I've grown so much as a result of writing this book, everything that I just told you that I learned, and I've learned so much more. I've built so many beautiful relationships as a result of having a book. It's been a beautiful experience, a challenging experience. I am going to do it again, but I'm going to do it again next time much more intentionally. And I hope that this podcast or this video helped you in some way, shape, or form go out into the world and write your book in a way that feels very intentional and in a way that feels like you will be so ridiculously proud of yourself 2 years from when your book comes out because you went on a marathon and not a sprint. I think that's the overall message. So love you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you were on podcast, go ahead and watch this on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, remember that it's on the Jen Gottlieb Show, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, guys. Love you so much. See you next time.